Hello guys, and welcome to today's Warhammer 40k Battle Report. Today we have the Might of Titan facing off against the Xeno Hunters themselves, the Deathwatch. We're playing a 2,000 point mission, and we are playing Mission 2 of the London Grand Tournament Mission Pack coming up next month in September. The mission features 6 objectives placed here, as you can see on the screen. You score 5 primary points for holding 2, 10 for holding 3, and 15 for holding 3 and more than your opponent. So that's the outline, and you can see the terrain we have laid out here. All terrain is following the rules for the LGT mission packs as well, which you can download from the LGT website or Facebook page. So in the Grey Knight list first, we have a battalion. It is the Rapier's Brotherhood. We have a Lord Caldor Drago, backed up by a Librarian. We have 3 5-man strike squads, 2 10-man interceptor squads, and 1 5-man interceptor squad. Drago knows Gate of Infinity, Vortex of Doom, and Smite. And the Librarian knows the Tide of Change power, and he also knows Gate. We've doubled up on Gate there. We then have a Sword Bearer's Spearhead detachment, which is made up of a Grand Master in Nemesis Dreadnought armor. He has 2 Warlord traits. He has First the Fray, and he also has the objective secured 6-inch bubble. And if you're already OBSEC, you count as twice the amount of models for your OBSEC. And then we have 3 Nemesis Dreadknights. All Nemesis Dreadknights and the Grandmaster all armed the same. They have a Nemesis Greatsword, and they also have a heavy side cannon and a Gatling silencer. That is the Grey Knight list. Moving over to the Deathwatch list, we have a single battalion. We have a captain with jump pack, and he has the 5-up invulnerable save bubble of 6 inches on all core units. We have a Librarian with jump pack who has the Tome of Ectoclades, and he has the 5-up for no pain psychic power, and also the +1 to hit, fights first in combat power. We then have a Chaplain with jump pack. He has the Beacon Angelis, which means he can, once per game, he can redeploy a unit within 6 inches of him anywhere on the board, as long as it's outside of 9 inches of the enemy. We then have a kill team made up of 9 Combi Flamers and a Terminator with Storm Shield. 3 of the Combi Flamers also have Storm Shields themselves. We have a second kill team made up of 5 Intercessors with Assault Bolt Rifles and 5 Assault Hellblasters. These were combat squadded into 2 teams with 3 Hellblasters and 2 Intercessors in one, and 3 Intercessors, 2 Hellblasters in another. We then have a kill team full of 5 shotguns, and then 3 bikes and 2 Terminators with Thunderhammer Storm Shields. These also combat squadded into 2 teams, 3 bikes and 2 Terminators in one, and the 5 shotguns in another. In Elites, we have 3 Blade Guard, and then we have 3 Redemptor Dreadnoughts. All Redemptor Dreadnoughts had the heavy plasma cannons, the onslaught Gatling cannons, the storm bolters, and then the missile pod on top. And then finally we had 3 eradicators with the assault melters. So that was the list, guys. Going into the game, the Grey Knights kept all 3 Nemesis Knights off the board in reserve in Deep Strike, and the Deathwatch paid a CP to keep the eradicators off the board and in Deep Strike there. So secondary wise, guys, the Grey Knights took Raise the Banners, Purifying Ritual, and Data Intercept, which is the mission specific one. And the Deathwatch also took Raise the Banners, Data Intercept, and Grind Them Down. So with deployment, guys, both teams were very cagey. The Grey Knights kept all 3 dice off the board, as we said, and deployed everything else behind line of sight blocking terrain minus the Grand Master. He was out in the open in the middle. The Deathwatch hid all of their infantry and kept the Eradicators in the Teleportarium. The Redemptors deployed to hold the centre of the battle line, ready to turn No Man's Land into a killing field, as they had good line of sight down the centre of the board. So the Deathwatch won turn 1, but it was a very short turn 1 for the Deathwatch because they couldn't see anything really. So there was some cagey movement to spread out a little bit more, get onto objectives and push the Redemptors forward. They raised a banner on the objective in their deployment zone. The Blade Guard moved to hold the objective closest to their deployment zone. And like I said, all of the Redemptors shuffle forward. And they did take a plinking shot at the Nemesis Grandmaster, but he used his redeploy ability to deploy behind the ruins where he couldn't be seen. So the rest of the shots were wasted and no one else could be targeted. But it did mean he was then closer to the Blade Guard. Grey Knight turn 1, we went bold. So we tried to strike an early blow turn 1. So we teleport shunted the 10-man intercessor unit into the ruins, the dense ruins on the far left-hand side to hold the objective over there. We raised 2 banners and one objective was also channeled using the psychic channeling. The other 2 interceptor units moved up to back the Nemesis Grandmaster as he took on the Blade Guard and the Redemptor. Unfortunately, the Grandmaster bounced, and with a mighty strike from its fist, the Redemptor felled the Grandmaster in a single round of combat, dealing 18 wounds to him in a single round of combat. The Interceptor consolidated to trap the Redemptor in combat, which was the only consolidation the Grey Knights could take out of that combat phase. The Blade Guard were removed, but the Redemptor was left standing almost unharmed. Going into Deathwatch turn 2, the counter-attack began in earnest as Deathwatch pushed out across the board. The Assault Hellblasters and both Redemptors that were out of combat levelled their plasma at the Interceptors in the dense ruins. The Combi Flamer kill team channeled their inner White Sky using 2 CP to advance out of the ruins, iron up the strike squad with their flamers, and iron up a charge to follow if any were left alive. Data intercept was performed in the back corner with the hope of controlling 4 objectives, but we shall see if they manage to pull it off. The shooting phase was brutal, as was expected. The interceptors channeled their true silver armour and took all the plasma and bolt weapon the Deathwatch could bring to bear. As the dust settled, 2 silver figures were all that were left standing out of the 10-man team. The Flamer team turned the strikes into flaming corpses, which meant no charge, which also meant they did miss out on capturing the 2 objectives that they had planned. The remaining 5 interceptors surrounding the Redemptor were put to the sword by the Captain's Xenophase Blade and the Redemptor's Fist. Going into Grey Knight turn 2. After losing 19 Knights, Drago called in the reinforcements. All 3 Dread Knights appeared in the centre of the board, ready to bring the storm of fire. The last 10 interceptors pushed towards the injured Redemptor, ready to avenge their fallen brothers. The Strike Marines pushed towards the Flamer kill team that had also killed their fellow squad the turn before. Both Swordbearer powers went off on the middle Redemptor, giving +1 damage and +1 to wound on all Sire weapons and Nemesis weapons in combat. In a hail of Sire shots, the Redemptor was blown apart, exploding in the process, which forced the Deathwatch to use their last CP to stop it from taking his captain and the other surviving Dreads with him in the resulting explosion. On the right flank, both Dread Knight and Strike Squad made their 8 and 9 inch charges respectively and wiped out the full 10-man kill team in glorious combat. The Interceptors charged the wounded Redemptor in the hope of killing it off, but only did 4 wounds in total and lost 2 of their number in return, which was not what the plan was. At the end of turn 2, the score was 8 for the Grey Knights and 3 for Deathwatch. Quite a low scoring game so far. Going into Deathwatch turn 3, the Eradicators appeared in front of the Dread Knights, backed by a Redemptor and the remaining half of the Hellblaster kill team. The Chaplain leaped across the battlefield to take on the single remaining Interceptor holding the far left objective. The Librarian called the Tome of Etzaclades to empower his men against the recently arrived Dread Knights, which gave everyone within 6 inches reroll all wounds against anything with a Dread Knight keyword. After all the firing was completed, 1 Dread Knight was completely toppled and another was reduced to only 2 wounds remaining, which was a devastating blow from the Deathwatch towards the Grey Knights. The remaining 8 Interceptors were charged by the Bike and Terminator kill team and the Captain, and with the combined attacks from that and the Dreadnought, everything was killed. So no Interceptors were left remaining on the board. Going into Grey Knight turn 3. With very little remaining, the Grey Knights had to push to secure as many points as possible and also help deny the Deathwatch as many points as possible. So in the centre, both Dread Knights, including the injured one, Drago and the Librarian, all pushed forward and levelled their guns and every suck ability they could to remove the Redemptor and then charge the Eradicators and wipe them out. On the right hand side, we secured the final objective in the dense terrain with our remaining 4 Strike Marines to essentially deny the primary to the Deathwatch and stop them scoring 15 points in their turn. At the end of turn 3, it was 17-11 to the Grey Knights. So, due to time constraint, we talked out the remaining 2 turns as neither side had enough left to deny points. It was down to who could score the most with what they had. After all the maths was discussed and the purifying ritual rolls were made, the remaining score was 49-49. It would have been 50-49, but the Grey Knights failed one of their purifying ritual rolls even with a CP reroll, hence the 49-49. I know it's a different format to what I've done before, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know in the comment section if you have any advice for changes you'd like to see in the future. And please, as always, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe if you enjoy the content and want to see more. These videos do take me a while to edit and do everything that I need to. So it's greatly appreciated if I know you guys are enjoying them and want to see more of them. I can make 2 of these a week, including my TTS report that should be up just after this one, which will be Grey Knights against Dark Angels. If you want to see the lists, they will be in the comment section as well. And I hope you guys enjoy everything that you see. Thank you very much. Until next time, goodbye.